on FM at 99.9 HD2.
Rudy Carpenter now on the right to the guest line. Rudy, let's start with Arizona State, self-imposed bowl ban. What was your thoughts when you heard that come down yesterday?
Oh, well, I think I have a lot of thoughts about it, to be honest with you. Number one, I think there's probably a lot more that's going to come down. ASU, blatantly cheated, when it comes to the COVID stuff. And, I think cheating is one thing in the NCAA's view. I think cheating during the COVID period is a whole nether egregious error, according to the NCAA. And so I would be willing to bet they're going to want to, throw the hammer at ASU and any other team, who did that. And that is what it is. I think Kenny Dillingham obviously saw this coming, number one, because he's got common sense, but number two, because his agent worked out a contract, with ASU that states if there's any bowl bans or loss of scholarships, he automatically is extended, on his contract. And because contracts are guaranteed, those extensions mean more money, which means he's now, going to make more money. If he gets fired, those years still have to be paid out to him. So he obviously knew something was coming. From a logistics standpoint, I think it's an egregious error by Ray Anderson and by Michael Crow. And I hate coming on these radio shows and saying I told you so, but ASU fans, love. I think ASU fans have canceled me like 26 times. So 27th time, I don't think really matters. But I came out and said I told you so regarding Todd Graham and his son and that whole weird situation, and I've said many other things. But look, at the end of the day, Ray Anderson, to me, has made a million egregious errors. And, had Ray, I got canceled a little while ago, so I came out and said that I think Ray should have been fired a long time ago. He should have been fired when he allowed one of the big ASU boosters, who's no longer around the program, to touch people's wives and to mess with people's wives like he did with Bobby Hurley, and like he, to be honest with you, did to my wife at the Pac12 championship game when they played Stanford. But, essentially Ray Anderson was okay with that because he loved the money that was coming in, and he loved some of the relationships that Bozo had. So at the end of the day, this is, just a I told you so type deal for me, in the sense that, Ray Anderson, to me, is not the guy. But with that being said, and I'll be quiet on the issue, you can fire Ray Anderson, and I think that'll make a lot of fans happy. But there's a lot of other people inside of that athletic department who have been there for years. And in my viewpoint, a lot of those people are the people that need to be bounced out of that team, that organization, that administration, whatever. And until those people are out, you're just going to keep on getting the same old same, especially because those people, for whatever reason, have a say in the hiring process.
So, Rudy, when you look at this, I think that my first thought was, well, why the bowl ban? I mean, for me, being at K-State, we were banned from bowls and in scholarships, what have you. And I thought they might have followed maybe the tune of Michigan, where they're just suspending the head coach for 4 games, but the head coach is gone, Herm Edwards being gone. Or you look at the Tennessee scenario, that you're talking about the whole COVID scenario as that. I mean, the bowl ban, I get maybe 5 or 6 scholarships because this group of players and staff are completely new. And then the timing of this whole thing. Here we are 4 days prior to the first kickoff, and transfer portal issues of not being able to move forward. I mean, just the timing was just horrible for self-imposed. If it was NCAA, okay. But for self-imposed, makes no sense to me whatsoever, Rudy.
Well, there's a lot of things, in my view, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You're punishing a bunch of players who had nothing to do with this. You're punishing a bunch of coaches who really had nothing to do with this. Personally, I believe the coaching staff knew this was coming down. I believe Kenny Dillingham knew this was coming down. I could be totally wrong, but I also believe it played into why he's going to be starting the quarterback, Jalen Rashada, that he's starting. I think they looked at it and said, hey, we're probably going to have this self-imposed bowl ban. Kenny and those guys can tell you, well, I just happened to find out 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I just happened to know just a little bit before you guys did, but I highly doubt that's the case. So I think that he knew this was in consideration. He knew this was a possibility. And when he looked at the thing as a whole, I think he decided, well, knowing that we have a self-imposed ban, I think we can, go ahead and just look at what the future of this program is going to be and who it's going to be led by. And let's roll him out there and let's essentially look at this as a free season. Let's look at this as a season where we can play a bunch of young guys. We can get the core of our program headed in the right direction with some young guys and get them some real live game reps, because we know that when it comes down to it, we're not playing for, any type of big bowl game. So I think that plays into it. I think if you're Kenny Dillingham and the coaching staff, they might not want to admit it because they're super, super competitive guys. But I think this also takes a little bit of pressure off of them. Now they have a whole bunch of built-in excuses. Well, they crushed the momentum of our team. We were ready to go. Now we got this bowl ban. Guys are crushed. We're playing a true freshman quarterback, all these different things. I think it takes a little bit of pressure off, but it's going to allow them, for the young guys and the coaching staff, to go out there and kind of, play free, maybe make some decisions they normally wouldn't make, test some different things out, see, what they might want to institute and or do as the seasons that are coming up after this season. But I also think, to a certain extent, ASU, the administration, they probably looked at this and felt like, well, what's the backlash really going to be? Well, what are the players really going to say? Because as we know, over the last however many years, we've seen a lot of players skip out on the bowl games. We've seen a lot of players not participate in bowl games because they think that they might get hurt, and ultimately that can affect their draft status, right? So I think that ASU might have looked at this and said, we're not going to the national title game this year anyways. We're not competing for a playoff spot this year anyways.
3 minutes.
Doesn't matter anymore, but we're not really playing for the Rose Bowl this year. So, why don't we just self-impose now? And okay, so what? We missed the used car sale Chick-fil-A.com, Frito Dorito Bowl. You know what I mean? Whatever. And hopefully the NCAA will look at us and give us a pat on the back and say, hey, you guys are so noble. You jumped out ahead of us and gave yourself a penalty. We'll take it easier on you. I just don't think that's going to happen, because you got a bunch of people in the NCAA, the Pac12, and everywhere else who, when it comes to COVID-19, which is a core belief for these, academic types, that COVID was, just an incredible situation that had to be handled one way or another, and the narrative was what it was. They
2 minutes.
want to continue that, and politically, there's a whole bunch of reasons why they want to do that, and so I don't think that this self-imposed ban is going to do much for them, except just kind of take some pressure off the staff.
Let me just quickly follow up. Do you think possibly they also did it because the Pac-12 is going to be dead after this season and they're moving to the Big 12 so that they got that out of the way before they join a new conference? Could that have been a part of the issue as well?
Who knows? It could have been, but I think at the end of the day, the NCAA is not going to really care whether they're part of the Big 12, the Pac-12, or whatever they're part of. I think the NCAA is going to look at this and say, here's what we believe you guys did wrong. For that, here is what we believe the penalty is. And maybe we're going to, change our penalty because you guys have already, we'll give you credit for time served, I guess.
1 minute, 1 minute.
But I think at the end of the day, I don't think that, whether it's the Pac-12 or the Big 12, I don't think it matters. I also don't think the Big 12 is really going to, want to go super far out of their way to punish them either. I think they're just going to allow the NCAA to do what they're going to do and then move on.
Rudy, you think Kenny Dillingham has a seat at the table in regards to decisions that Arizona State is making for the football program?
When it comes to this type of situation,
yeah,
when it comes
you
to
mentioned you think Kenny,
no.
You thought Kenny knew about this, most likely, right?
I think he knew about it. I definitely think he knew about it. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know something's going to happen. I mean, these are people in these academic institutions where they viewed COVID almost as a religion. So, I mean, when you're flying banners around, wear a mask, get vaccinated, you're forcing your team to do all of that same stuff. And you essentially, like every other academic institution, have followed the talking points of every, major, news outlet out there. I mean, look, they're gonna follow along with the narrative that they must follow along with. And so I don't think that Kenny Dillingham has any say. I think they're telling him, Michael Crow's telling him exactly how it's going to go. Ray Anderson is telling him how it's going to go. I think that they put their finger. I think Michael Crow and Ray Anderson put their finger in their mouth, put it up in the air and said, which way is the political wind going on this? And they tried to follow that line as much as they could. But Kenny knew something was going to happen because in his contract, look at, to me, I don't want to go on a rant, but this is the ultimate, whatever you want to call it. You can say this is college football at its peak. Okay. You have an institution that literally broke every rule in the book. They literally forced people to get injected with a medication that was not tested or anything else. At the same time, they were paying for people's flights to travel and recruit while they were making everybody else come into the building with, waivers being signed about you acknowledge COVID and you guys know what the whole thing was, what they were making people do, right? Mm-hmm. While they were breaking every single rule, while they ruined a whole bunch of kids' senior year playing in empty stadiums, right? They essentially got those moments taken away from them, okay? They interrupted all of college. I can go on and on and on, right? However, they still found a way to make money. They still found a way to be profitable. They still found a way to recruit. Ray Anderson, they could have fired Herm Edwards, his best friend, for cause and not paid him. They literally didn't do that. They paid him out an extra $4.5 million. Herm Edwards got paid. The coaches got paid. Ray Anderson gets paid and keeps his job. Kenny Dillingham comes in, gets the first head coaching job of his life, gets paid the first couple $1 million he's ever made, right? Negotiates in his contract that I know for a fact we're going to have some issues with scholarships and bowl bans. If that happens, that automatically triggers a clause in my contract for my contract to be extended. So therefore I make more money. And the only kids who are being completely screwed over are the players. And yet these same coaches, these same administrators, the rest of these bozos come out and cry about the transfer portal. And they come out and cry about college football's ruined. How dare these college kids get paid? Yet everybody else is profiting in every way possible. Like literally, I am the furthest thing from a Bernie Sanders supporter, but like literally I'm starting to understand how ridiculously corrupt all of these institutions are.
He is Rudy Carpenter, bringing it, man. We needed you for another segment today. I wish we had more time. You're on a roll. I love it.
I loved it.
Rudy, have a great week, man. That's good stuff, man. Appreciate you using us as a platform to get that out. That's outstanding.
Yeah, by the way, Dan, congrats to Brock Purdy. That's obviously we all knew he was probably going to be the starting quarterback.